be able to do a better job. I should have been giving you guys, like, I'll give you a 3-minute warning and a 1-minute warning, yeah? Because when we have all 5 show up, we're gonna have to keep it to a little bit shorter, yes?
I came in late. Are we supposed to answer this question for each of them?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you. But I'm not grading that feedback, it's just really for you to give to them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Monday, 8 a.m. I'm not going to project my voice too loud because I know nobody wants to be extra special right now. It is a little bit early. I'm going to be talking about intelligent agents in autonomous vehicles, otherwise known as self-driving cars. And the itinerary today, we're going to go through, first off, the scientific innovations, autonomous vehicles, scientific assistant technologies. Then we'll go ahead and move on to historical, political, and social context, such as autonomous, the dream of autonomy, the road carnage, social mobility, policies, and then we'll go ahead and finish it off with relevant terms and theoretical perspective. We'll talk about competition, automation levels, and barriers to entry. And I will go a little bit fast, so it's kind of a lot to talk about. Hello, my name is Albert Fattal. I am so excited to be here right now. I've been looking forward to coming to this. I know a lot of people really don't like talking too much, but I am extremely excited to tell you a little bit about autonomous vehicles. I'm going to start it out with a quote. So this quote is by Mary Barra. She is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of General Motors Corporation. She is one of the most influential female executives in the United States of America, and because of her, General Motors got out of the financial deficit that they had during the recession. And she says the key with autonomous is the whole ecosystem. One of the keys to having truly fully autonomous is vehicles talking to each other. And what she's referring to over here is the ability to connect on a holistic standpoint, because autonomy itself on its own single vehicle is unable to really do too much. However, when it's connected to a network, perhaps using 5G or other vehicles to understand where they're at, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on, then they are far more effective. And so I have a question for you. Can anybody name 2 unique traits of what they see right here? This is a vehicle. Anything unusual? Yes?
There's no steering wheel.
Yeah, you got it. Here you go.
Oh man.
You've been getting a lot of lollipops lately. Anybody else want to take a guess? Yes?
There are 3 screens.
There definitely are 3 screens, and there usually it's just one unless they have headrests. So here you go. Ooh, this is a delicious flavor. I like that one. That's right, absolutely. So this is the prototype of the future of vehicles. Vehicles that are to come within the next 5, 10 years, within the decade, easily, right? So let's talk about the scientific and technological innovations. This is one of the first sets of ideas. Scientific assistive technologies. How do intelligent autonomous vehicles do this? How do they do this on their own? It's due to artificial intelligence, LiDAR, if you've ever heard of that, radar, GPS, and motion video processing. I'm not going to go too deftly into this because we're short on time, but let's talk about the historical, political, and social context. One of the big concepts is 10 years ago, intelligent autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars, that would be unbelievable. If you said to somebody 10 years ago, I have a car that I can summon and it will come to me and pick me up without a driver, that would be, again, witchcraft. That would be straight up witchcraft. Yeah, that would be unheard of. The history of it is that in 1939, New York had a world famous auto show called Futurama. If you've ever been to Disneyland, they have, I don't know if it's there anymore, they have it's the future of technology is building in Futureland. It's been a long time since I've been to Disneyland. I'm sure you've stepped on it, it rotates around, but that's based off of Futurama. This is what people in the United States in the industry were predicting for the future in the next 10 years. I'm going to skip this to keep going to more depthful aspects of the slide. So, what are two or three things that we can talk about with autonomy vehicles, right? Efficiency, that's one of the key points. Efficiency, reducing energy, particularly through improving erratic braking and acceleration. I'm sure you are aware if you accelerate quickly, you're using a lot of petrol. However, with autonomous vehicles, it can do it far smoother. And while I talk, I'm going to show you a quick example of that. We're going to go really quickly through this one. So imagine you're in traffic, right? This is a barrier that it's causing. Without autonomy, they're going to slow down. Now you're going to see him place another conceptualized traffic lane. Just notice these cars right here. Every second is lost time because they are not connected together, right? If they weren't connected together, they would have the ability to work far more smoothly without slowing down and going faster. So let's get into that. Uh-oh. Escape. Let's see. This always happens. Let's give it a second. And we are back on track. All right. So increased road capacity. Contribute to social mobility. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the social implications of autonomous vehicles. What is it contributing to society? The sociology, right? Similar to in the 1980s, the bike empowered minorities, empowered women. So you may not have thought of this one, however, autonomous vehicles are going to empower particular minority groups, such as those with disabilities. Those who are blind can now travel as long as they can get to the car, which is not going to be a problem. Children can now go from point A to point B, although they probably shouldn't on their own, but they can easily do that very safely, and elderly as well. Due to vision for the elderly and perhaps just general cognitive disabilities, they can now travel around freely. Relevant terms and theoretical perspectives. Now let's talk about some of the concepts of competitors and are they just cars? I would say no. Keep in mind, autonomous vehicle, the word vehicle is any type of entity that moves, that takes you from one place to another. It can be a boat, an airplane, a train, torpedo, that's an unusual one, and the rover. So here's the Mars rover. The reason this is an excellent application for the Mars rover is because it takes 15 minutes for a signal to go from Mars to Earth. And that's just one way. Then we have to tell it to go back. So that's about 30 minutes lag. That could be a huge disaster. That's a lot of lost money if it went over a hill, right? So it uses its abilities, its autonomous abilities to judge what's around it so that it can mobilize effectively. There are 6 levels of autonomous driving. The first one would be no automation. That's just a typical automobile or vehicle that has no cruise control, nothing at all. Second would be driver assisted. That's the actual driver themselves, moving the car, steering it, or boat, or whatever it is. Then we have partial automation. That can be something like cruise control. That's already on level 2. Then we have level 3. I'm going to go a little bit quicker with that. All the way to full automation, which doesn't necessarily exist in a production point right now. This is literally does not need a steering wheel, as we saw earlier. So let's talk about the historical. Here we go. So it has a track record, right? And the track record is that it's driven 3,400 miles at 90% automation. So as a reference, Los Angeles to New York is 2,777 miles, right? So this did it with, of course, a human being did, but at 90% autonomy, meaning that 90% of the time it was autonomous. All right. Now, all right. So you've seen that we've gone through historical, political, and social context, the scientific innovations and relevant terms, theories, and perspectives. There is one more thing that's going to contribute that, which is barriers to entry. With autonomous vehicles, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of research and development. And there's a long wait for full adoption. So there's also road cartages. I'm going to skip through this one. Let me just look at it quickly. one of the truck driver. So it impacts the economy. Let me talk about that. This is impacting job markets, right? Entire societies, to the point in which the people are concerned that they're losing their jobs. However, this is actually going to enable people to do other things instead of being a truck driver. I hope that it can encourage people to do something more exciting in their career. Perhaps do something that they can be very proud of in that. So here's some of the credits, and thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm ready to answer these.
Well, after Brent's presentation, we
Okay.
can discuss